Hello again. We're down here in the garden again. We're going through our cucumber plants. We got about 70-ish cucumber plants. These are all the straight eights. We're going through and picking all the ones that's bad, got bad spots or too big. We picked these, I guess we picked about, I don't know, we picked 26 one day and we picked 30 some the next. And then we picked this past Saturday, which was 4 days ago, we picked about 60, I guess, and we just can't keep them picked. They get big on us. They lay on the ground. They didn't grow up our trellises. Some of them did, as you can see. We had to come back through and put them back up on the trellises, but some of them grew on the ground and they get these bad spots on them, and customers don't want that. We sell to customers. They want them about this size here, but they get bad spots on them and we can't do anything with them. So what we're doing, we decided to come down this evening. It's a cool evening. We've been chasing chickens out here all day. There's one in our squash now eating the squash. We've been chasing chickens out here all day. We've got to get a run set up to get them contained. But they're coming through and they're pecking on our cucumbers and our squash. And quite frankly, they're about to drive me absolutely nuts. This little fella here come in and see they're eating all of our food. They don't mess with the beans too bad or the corn. Yeah, I know I'm stepping all over them, but this one here, like this one, it's close to being ripe, but they've got a few pecks on it. I've left it just because I want it. We've only harvested one butternut squash off of these, but man, you're talking about the cucumbers. These have just been piled in, and them chickens, they will not stay out of our garden. They've stayed up there pretty well, but they're trying to wander. I don't know what it is. We pinned them up the other evening when we was down here picking beans because they wanted to follow us down. But we're going through here and we're trying to get some of these great big cucumbers picked out, because man, you're talking about some of them's gotten big on us. Say for instance that one there, they've come down and pecked a few holes, which we wouldn't eat that anyways. We wouldn't be able to sell it. But still, they don't need to be down here eating our stuff. So we're gonna get a building set up there for them. That's a pretty nice one. And what we're gonna do with all these, we've got a bucket of them over there. Actually, we're actually gonna feed our pigs with them. They love them. I know some people may not agree with giving them so much of the cucumbers, but they love them and they're good for us, so they have to be good for them. We've not sprayed these with anything toxic at all. We've got a few that's trying to die on us there in the middle, but other than that, we've not had any problems with them. We'll get a few more picked here, and when we get back to the other side over there, I'll show you what's in the bucket, and we'll go down and take a look at the pigs. Well, I believe we got all picked out that we can pick out. We've got us a couple baskets picked out of decent ones that we're going to keep. We've got two little white baskets there. I don't know, there's probably 25 in there that we're going to keep, and then there's a pile of cucumbers that's bad or too big. I mean, them right there, we just picked the other day, and man, you're talking about them things growing. And like I said, we haven't done anything to this garden whatsoever right here in this spot. We haven't fertilized. We put the plants in and I thought they was going to die because they never would come out. My uncle's plants, you go down there and his grew way up on the trellises. And everybody else's I've seen, they were just big, nice, pretty plants. And these they didn't want to grow. And we come down and there was a few starting to spread out a little and get a few blooms on them here and there. And it seemed like overnight they just went bam. And here they are. I mean, they grew up in a quick hurry, and this basket is almost full of nothing but cucumbers. We pulled a few pea plants and stuck in there, and it's got a few shucks of some corn. We picked about 10 ears of corn this evening to eat fresh. But other than that, this whole mineral bucket's full of cucumbers. There's actually a few still that I tossed out and missed the bucket that's laying out here. hopefully that right there will get us picked out for a few days. There's still a few smaller ones in here that I seen that was right on the edge, but most of the rest of them's about an inch long. So, you know, about a week and we'll be covered up in cucumbers again, more than we know what to do with. So we'll get down through here and see what we can do with these pigs. There's our Indian corn finally growing. If anybody watched the Papaw video, well, guess what, Papaw, we're catching up to you. Because ours, it's starting to get big. Starting to get some ears on it. It gets ears way up high. They don't grow the ears way down low. My uncle claims that next year he's not going to stake any beans whatsoever. All he's going to do is grow that corn and put his beans in between it and let his beans grow up that corn, because it grows a big stalk. We never healed this up at all. We stuck it in the ground, and that's what we done. We never fertilized this or anything. We put nitrogen on the other corn, but this corn here we never done anything to. You can see it's had a little pressure. A few bugs come in and eat a few leaves off of it. I've not really been worried about it because it's just decorative. It's not for us to eat as food. You could probably grind it and make good cornmeal, I think, is what they do with it, because it's a real hard corn. But as far as eating it, you can't eat it unless you do that. It's just more for decorative. It's multicolored, red and yellow and white and brown and purple. You know, it's got all the good colors on it. And people like these big stalks here. They make fodder out of it and put it out, you know, for Halloween and such. So we'll do that. The kids, that's what they grew this year, is the same kind. They put theirs in late, and theirs is already this high. I mean, it grows quick. It grows good, strong. I mean, you can see the base here. I mean, it's big, big stalk. Some of it's smaller because we put it real tight together, but I mean, it grew a big stalk. We'll probably grow some of that next year. We'll save some seed. You just pop the ear off and let it dry and pop a seed off with your thumb, just like you shelling regular feed corn. Put it in the ground and it grows. So that's what we'll do. He actually bought, this seed here came from my uncle. He bought it at an auction. I don't know, he bought about a dozen ears of the corn. And he planted a few rows of it, and we planted this, and the kids planted theirs. And man, it come up nice. So it's really pretty corn. These here have finally taken off. I don't know if any of you's watched the videos on this stuff here. These are birdhouse gourds, and they are jamming. They're thick. They're starting to go over into the corn and catch the corn, which I don't care. It's all going to be feed eventually for the pigs anyways. When we harvest all that corn, the pigs will get to come into that and eat all of the stalks. I'll probably go through with a machete and chop it and drop it and just let them eat it right there, and they'll incorporate everything back into the soil like they're supposed to. I mean, we use pigs like that for all things. Gardening. These here, they're a big vining gourd. They make a big gourd. And we're hoping that we can grow some of these this year. There's a few on it. I couldn't tell you where they're at right now. I seen them the other day when I was down here looking, but by the looks of it, you know, I thought we got them in a little late, and they were real slow to germinate, and they come out really slow, and they made a little bush, and I told my wife, I said, I don't think they're going to make anything. I said they're not growing as fast as they should. It's going to get wintertime before they get to grow into what they're supposed to be, and overnight, there they go. I mean, it seems like that's our story with everything, but that's how it works. So we'll get down here. I'm sure these pigs will enjoy this. I fed them half a bushel of tomatoes earlier today, and they gobbled them up before me and my middle daughter could get some squash picked. So I'm sure they'll enjoy these cucumbers. We need to check on them anyways. We've got a couple sows that's really close to having babies, and I like to give them this stuff here. It's real good treats for them. They enjoy it. We're actually looking into leaving some to grow. My uncle grew some cucumbers years ago that just grew. I mean, they big. They was that big around and that long, because he just let them grow. You know, he was done for the year, and he just let them grow out, and they was big as watermelons. and we were looking into maybe trying to grow some out like that to keep for food, you know, through the fall and into the winter for these things. That way they can have some fresh fruit. I call it fruit. It's vegetables, but that way they can have some fresh fruit throughout the fall and the winter time. Because I like vegetables like that, so I'm sure that they would as well. I just don't know about freezing them or anything like that. We're going to try it and see. We've got a deep freeze that we took out of our house. We bought a new one, and we took the old one out of the house, and I'm going to see about getting it and filling it full of cucumbers, and I don't know, just seeing what they look like, you know. They may and they may not. But these here, they've way outgrown what they should have. And the chicken's pecking on them. I mean, they're not fit for us to eat, but man, them pigs sure love them. Every one of them, they'll come and grab them one up, and they'll take off running from the others like they ain't got one themselves. They like them, and I enjoy giving them to them because it cuts down on the feed bill a little bit. It's a nice change from grain to something like this because they enjoy it. These pigs are vegetarians anyways. They don't like to eat any kind of meat. We'll occasionally have some hamburger meat or something. We feed them table scraps as well. We keep a bucket there at the house to bring them scraps. But they don't like the meat. They would just rather have the vegetables. But that's what we do with them. We'll look right here. I'll show you our corn real quick and pan over our beans real quick, and then we'll end this up and get them pigs finished up. This is our bodacious corn. We've got 6 rows of it, and it's coming on strong. You know, it's chest high all the way out. In some spots, it's head high, way down at the end. I mean, it's pretty nice. And this Honey Select here has absolutely blown my mind. It started off slow, and I didn't think it was going to make anything, but it ended up being a tall patch of corn. I mean, most of it's 7 foot tall. This is what it's supposed to be like. Our little patch over there, it never got no height to it, but this corn ended up being a pretty good tall patch, and every bit of it's got good ears on it. I've got to come through and hit it with some Sevin dust. That way the worms don't get down in our ears, because it will. I don't mind it. I didn't spray that little patch with anything. That's our patch. That's what we eat personally. We're not selling an ear off of that, but people don't like their corn to have worms in it. I don't mind. We cut it open. I'll chop the tip of it off and throw it out. I don't care, because I like it. You know, this here is mainly to sell. So I'll come through with Sevin dust and spray every bit of it. Well, it's concentrate Sevin dust in liquid form, and I'll spray every bit of it. Spray the tassels, and I'll spray the silks, and it should keep it pretty well worm free, you know. This corn's growing really well. Probably another couple weeks out on it. Everybody else is going to have their corn all picked and sold by then, and then we'll be the ones bringing fresh corn to market. I'm not worried about it. A lot of people, they try to hurry and get it out as fast as they can get it out, but I'm the one. I like to take my time, put it in the ground, let it do what it wants to do. I don't try to rush it with fertilizers. I know a lot of people, they'll put the drip lines under it and try to rush it and make it just go. I like to let it do its thing. You know, it knows when to grow and how to grow. I'll give it water when I feel like it's a little dry, but other than that, it does its own thing. I've not watered this patch in a long time. I watered this patch when it was about this high for about 3 or 4 days in a row, because we had a month and a half there that we didn't get a drop of rain, and the corn just wasn't growing. And that patch there was about this tall when I was watering it. But since then, I've not watered it at all, and it's done what it's supposed to do. We've gotten rain 2 or 3 times in the past 2 months, and you can see it's growing really well. Rain would be nice to fill the ears out, but I don't think this little stuff down here on the end's ever going to do anything. It's trying to tossle. It wants to be a big boy, but I don't think it's ever going to be anything. We'll probably end up the pigs love the stalks. Our dogs went through and broke a lot of the stalks off on our bodacious corn, and I went through and picked them all up and had an armful this big. And crazy little dogs, but threw it into the pigs and they loved it. They eat the leaves and stalk where it's tender. They eat every bit of it. So we'll end up doing that with the stuff on the end down here. It's because the tree shades it. We cut a lot of limbs out of it, but I think we was just a little late on it. It didn't get as much sun as the other's supposed to, and then when that got up, that blocked, and it just blocked all the sun from right there. But it still growed good. I'm tickled with it. If we get a couple ears off this end, I'll be just fine with it. There's our peanut beans. We've picked over them a few times. I think we're letting them all go to seed now to save seed. There's a lot of them that's good and pink. They're starting to dry out on us. They're an early bean. They mature really quickly, and they're a pink bean. It's a pink tip peanut bean, and that's what they look like. We're gonna save some seed out of those. You know, I'm not saying that I'll ever plant them again, because they're just a pain in the hind end. My uncle told me whenever we stuck them in the ground, he said, "I'll help you plant them." He said, "But you're picking them by yourself." He said, "I ain't picking them things." And he did anyway. His girlfriend wanted a bushel, and we told her she gets the first bushel out of them. And they were perfect. And it rained the day before we were going to pick them, and it was 2 days before we could get down here to get them after that, and they rotted because they were laying down close to the ground. If I ever raise any again, what I plan on doing is getting me some wire about 2 foot tall and putting it about this far apart and letting the beans grow up into the wire and letting the beans hang out so that the plants don't lay over, because you can see the plants laid over against the ground. They were nice plants, but if they would have had something to hold them up, you know, like that, they would have probably done really well. I don't know. Like I said, I grow the Romas. We've grown them several years, but the peanuts, this is our first year. And if we don't change our minds, this will be our last year doing it. We picked and picked and picked and picked and picked. And that's what everybody said. They're the best bean out there, but you'll pick yourself to death getting them. And they were right. It was the truth. So we're going to let them go to seed. We'll probably sell some seed out of them. A lot of people around here likes to have the seed. A lot of the peanut beans that people sell, they don't turn pink. They're just green. And we got these from a lady. We actually traded her a few chickens. We were selling chickens back in the spring, and she bought several chickens off of us, and we had talked to her about looking for different kinds of seed. It was right before garden season started. And she brought us a little pack of bean seeds. We planted this row with them, and they come up, and they're the pink ones. So what we'll probably end up doing is we'll save the pink ones and not the green ones. That way all of our seeds will be pink, and maybe when we plant them they'll all come pink. I don't know. But that's enough about them. These here are aromas. See, we picked some the other day, so this end here don't have a lot of beans left on it, but they're a flat bean. Them's not hardly ready. They're about to dry out. These are an early bean. If you don't get them quick when it rains, they turn like that right there. The leaves lay on them and they get spots on them. They turn bad quick. And again, if we grow these next year, which I don't think we will, we grow these for my uncle. He likes them. I just assume have our ancient beans or half runners, to be honest with you. If we grow these again, I'll probably do them the same way I'll do the pink tips and put the wire up and just let them grow up through the wire. And maybe we'll save a few more that way. I don't know. We don't save these seed. You can. They're an heirloom. But we're not going to this year. We've got about 3 more bags. I think they're 4-ounce bags from Southern States that we bought. I thought they were half runners, and we got to looking at them, and there's Romas. But we got them in the freezer. If we need seed next year, if we decide to plant any, if I plant any of those, they'll be a late season thing. Like they'll be mid-August planting, because they come on really fast and they grow short, and then they pop the beans out, and they'll pick you to death if you have them in a cool spot. We planted them up through here. My plan is in about 2 more weeks we're going to come through and pull every plant all the way down of all the beans, pull all the beans off of the plants, and the small beans, leave them on there and feed it all to the pigs. And then I'm going to come through and till this, and we're going to put something else out right here. I've heard that you can grow fall corn. I've not ever, but I've heard that once you get into summer and the ground is really hot, if you can get a little bit of rain right when you plant it, that the corn will pop and it'll grow really fast because it's hot. The corn likes the heat. You know, I may stick in 2 rows of fall corn. I don't know. We'll just have to see. Burgundy beans, they done really well for us. We've sold a bunch of them. A lot of people liked them. We liked them. They turn green when you cook them. We got the vines hanging full. We'll probably end up keeping a lot of them seeds because it produces a lot of food. If something was to happen and we had to make a lot of food to feed our family, that's the beans to do, because they produce. I mean, you can look at the vines hanging, and we've picked and picked and picked, and they're hanging absolutely full of beans all the way down. And I've picked the first, I don't know, 30 feet, I've picked it 3 times. And that's still what's hanging. And in the middle, it's not even been touched yet. I'm scared to go down there because we may have beans that big down there. I'm scared to look. But like I said, they're an heirloom seed. We're going to save a lot of seeds out of them. We'll probably save, you know, a couple pounds of those seeds because we like the taste of them. They were a little bland. They had a little bit sweeter of a taste than the half runners, but they were a little bland for our flavor. But slap a little pepper on them things and eat them. That's food, you know. If you need food, if you have to grow a lot of food, and that's something that I look at whenever I'm growing something. Just like those there, I don't want to grow those because I can't get enough food off of them to compensate for my time. Cucumbers, I can get a pile of food. There's nothing wrong with them big cucumbers. If I had to eat them, if I was starving to death and my life depended on me growing something to eat, I can grow a cucumber as big as a watermelon and eat it. And it not bother me a bit to eat them. We got salt. I've got stockpiles of salt in there. I can douse salt on them things and eat them just like an apple. It doesn't bother me at all. And the kids will get over it. I'll tell them it's a special kind of watermelon. You know, that's what I look at when I'm raising stuff. That's why I like our ancient beans, because they produce a lot of food. And these purple beans, these burgundy beans, I don't know if we just got lucky, but these right here, the ones that we grew, I don't know how anybody else has done, but the ones we grew just piled the food on. We raised 1 row. It's a 105-foot long row, and I dare to say there's probably 15 bushels of beans hanging still, and we've picked bushels off of it already. There's still 15 bushels of beans hanging on that 1 row. If that's not food production, I don't know what is. If anybody's looking to grow a lot of food and they don't grow them, they're crazy. Point blank, they're crazy. Next, we have our volunteer half runners. These are our 4 later rows. We tried to succession plant so that we can have some a little later, because everybody's going to have beans right now. Everybody's beans are coming on. They planted them early, and everybody has beans right now. And we've sold a lot of beans. We set up at the market. You seen on one of our videos, we set up at the market last Saturday, and we sold several beans. We sold about everything that we had, except aromas. Nobody really, which was weird to me. They didn't really know what they were. Aromas have been around for years and years and years, but they really didn't know what they was. So we didn't sell a whole lot of them. Sold more burgundy beans than I had thought that we would have, and we made a lot of contacts. We handed out a lot of business cards, and that generated a lot of phone calls. And we just, our phone's been off the hook, and people's been calling trying to get more beans. One lady, she actually ordered 8 more bushels of our half runners. everybody was commenting on how nice they look, and we appreciate it. We really do. We try hard. We try to put out videos like this to show everybody that we do all of this ourselves. We don't go somewhere and buy it. I know a lot of people, and I'm not knocking anybody. However you want to make your money, you go ahead and make your money. But we grow it with our hands on our property, with our children, with our seed, with our sweat, blood, and tears. And there's been a few days where I've knocked my fingers off, and there's been blood put in this garden. And we like to show everybody that, so they know what quality they're getting. We don't try to raise a huge quantity, which it's not a little garden by no means whatsoever. But for us to be able to sell, we have to grow a little larger than you would if you're just going to eat it yourself. We eat a lot of it. Don't never doubt that. We can 100 jars of green beans, and we eat a dozen ears of corn off of there every other day. We leave it hanging on the stalk, and we just come down through here and pick us a dozen at a time and take it up to the house, and we eat it. A lot of corn we don't sell because we eat a lot of corn. We're a big family. We're a family of 7. I eat 2 ears. My wife eats 2 ears. The 2 little girls, they'll eat 2 ears apiece. Mikey, our oldest boy, he'll eat 4 or 5 ears if we'll let him. I mean, we're corn eaters. That meat, potatoes, and corn. That's the way we are. But anyways, these right here are second growing, and man, they are coming on nice. Real pretty beans. They're loaded down with beans the whole way down. Every one of them is absolutely loaded with beans, and that's all the way to the top. They've got beans growing all the way to the top and vining out and still blooming. They're still wanting to make beans for us, and I've not fertilized these. Whenever I put these plants in the ground, they got up about this big, and I come through between the rows, and I put triple 10 fertilizer in between the rows of these 4. Not our older 4, but these 4 newer ones. And I tilled it under. I just took my tiller and I put it reverse tines, and I just tilled it under. I didn't throw it up on the plants. I just put it into the dirt to give them a little extra, because we've got a lot on this land that's sucking it out of it. And if you don't give something back, if you don't incorporate something to it, it's gonna let you down. And we're not looking for that. We're not looking to take and take without giving back. Like when we go through and pick beans, if we get a bean with a bad spot, we toss it on the ground. We don't save it to try to stick it in a bushel and sell to somebody. We don't do that. If it's got a bad spot on it, it goes on the ground. And then at the end of the year, when we go through and cut, if there's beans left that we're not keeping for seed, it goes back into the dirt, and I till it all in, and I let it break down into the ground, because beans will actually put nitrogen back into the ground. And then, like I said, we'll have grass growing on it. We'll let the cows down in here. We'll let the pigs in here and the chickens in here, goats, and we'll spread rabbit manure on it. We try to give it back as much as it gives us, and as you can see, it gives to us. We're not just taking and taking and taking. We're giving back, and it shows. We'll have plants die, but it's to be expected with as many plants as we've got. We've got, like I said, we've got 805-foot rows of these beans. These next 4 with the T-posts, they are nice. I'm really looking forward to getting in and picking those, because those have been babied. They've been well taken care of. I've walked down here every day and tried to weave them through the strings, and we've babied those more than we did these. And I believe it will show. These here we put in the ground, and we just let them grow. And they done their thing, and we've picked gobs of beans off of these things. And you can walk down through these rows and look, excuse me, and you can see it's blooming back. They're still blooming. They're still wanting to produce new beans all the way. You can look, I mean, there's new beans producing everywhere. So once these, we're done picking off of these rows for now. We've picked, let's see, 4 and 4, 6, 8. We've picked about a dozen bushels off of these 4 rows, and we picked them early. We could have waited a while and probably got more bushel out of them, let them fill out. But people liked them. You know, they're good tender beans. These were our early beans. Once those come in, it'll be about another week, and we'll be picking into those 4 rows. Once we pick those 4 rows, we'll come back over to these 4 rows, and we'll get to picking on them, and they'll be back full. Once we pick over them, we'll go back to those, and those will be full again. These next year, I'm planning on doing 8 rows early and 8 rows late, just to have enough to fill the orders that we have, because people want them. I mean, you have a good product, people want it, so you have to make sure that you have enough to fill the orders. And I like to grow it, so we're going to grow double or triple next year as to what we did this year. Lord willing, hopefully everything will work out that we can. Right here's the kids' corn. It's Indian corn. Like I said, they planted it late, and man, it's head high already. You can see it's up good sized already. This end, I don't know, for some reason it don't like corn. Beans grew good on this end. Corn don't like it. I came through and I fertilized for them and put some nitrogen on there and tilled between the rows for them, because I didn't want them to get into our beans. I said I was going to make them do it all, but I didn't want them the tiller to jump and get away from them and get over into our beans and just destroy the patch, because it was tight. But their rows are growing good. I wish they would have took the string down, but you know, it is what it is. They've got some bigger corn down on the end. We'll ease down through here and take a look. These beans right here, these are our ancient beans, we call them. And I've picked some off of them, but you can see, like I said, food is what I'm looking to grow. And man, if they don't produce the food, and it ain't just one bean that gets big, they all will get big. Last year we had the poles, these poles here, they were up 15 foot high in the air. I had to climb up on like a ladder. We had the bars across the middle, and I climbed up those to reach the beans, and by the time I was able to get up to them, the beans were that long. Big beans, big around as your thumb. And like I said, these are my favorite because they produce a lot of food. You know, I like to eat them when they're about that size right there. They're not real thick, but we can them when they're big and full. They taste just as good as any other bean to me. They taste a whole lot like a half runner, only a lot bigger. You just can't. Customers are weird about stuff if they don't know what it is, or they've never tried it, or they don't want to try new things. We tried these. We had a couple people that didn't like them. I mean, that's to be expected if you sell a bunch like that, you know. But we like them. You know, they're really good beans. We'll get down here. The corn didn't grow real good in the middle right here. It's a little shorter, but I believe it was because of that tree. And I've already spoken to my neighbor. He's going to let us come through this fall, and we're going to cut all these trees down and really help this garden right here. Kids done a really good job of getting the weeds out and hoeing it up good. They planted it a little thick, and we had them come through and pull a lot out. But as you can see, it's big. I mean, it's going to be, and it's not even trying to get the tassels in it. It'll be 12 foot tall. This corn here will. There's a big old patch of beans hanging on that pole there. Right here. Man, those are nice beans. I like them. But, well, that's what we're doing with the garden right now. We're picking beans about every day. We're kind of at one of those spots where we're waiting for everything to fill back in. We'll probably pick some of these in a day or two. We'll pick some burgundy beans to kind of relieve our vines a little bit. But you know, corn's right around the corner. It's right there on the edge, and our other half runners are just right there. And We're picking cucumbers every day. You know, we're doing everything we can, everything we're supposed to do. But like I said, you know, if we didn't put it in the ground, it would have never grew. So it's our job. I feel obligated to take care of it and manage it the way that it's supposed to be managed. But if everybody like what they seen or want to comment on it and tell us what you think we're doing wrong or doing right or anything like that, just let us know. Thank you.